Hello guys. This is the Orange Hokage here, and today we are doing What If Naruto Went Back in Time with Sakura Part 16. Make sure you check the description for the original creator's story, and now let's get right into the story. Now that everyone is here, Zetsu, tell us what you have learned of these sudden rumors concerning the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Well, Pain-sama, to tell you the truth, the rumors aren't false. From what I have been able to gather, all of them are at least partially true. The rumors surrounding the Kyuubi defeating the Jūbi and Gobi Jinchuriki are true. The fact that he is a sage is also true. There are whispers of him being promoted to Jonin already. Now I really want to fight him. A shark-like man said with a grin. Silence, Kisame. If what Zetsu has said is true, then only I can defeat him. Kisame nodded at the apparent leader named Pain. Zetsu, I want you to stop gathering information on the rest of the Jinchuriki and focus on the Kyuubi. As you wish, Pain-sama. Zetsu said as he faded from existence, leaving behind 8 other figures standing on the tips of the fingers of a gigantic grotesque-looking statue. Leader-sama, are you sure that the Kyuubi is that dangerous to warrant your personal involvement? It is better to be cautious, Ichi. I am sure that you and Kisame can easily subdue the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, but know this, the Kyuubi has defeated 2 experienced Jinchuriki in Bijū mode without even tapping into his own Bijū's power. If such a target doesn't warrant my attention, what does? After all, only a god can defeat a demon. Leader-sama is right to be cautious. The Kyuubi is very dangerous. The Iwa and Kumo Bingo books ranks him as beyond high S. The recommendation is flee on sight. One doesn't get such recommendation without due reason. If I am not mistaken, other than him only 3 other shinobi have been given such accolades in living history. Uchiha Madara, Senju Hashirama, and Namikaze Minato, right Kakazu-senpai? That's right, Deidara. 3 Konoha ninja. The Kyuubi is the 4th. I am sure that if Leader-sama was known, he would also be ranked as such with the same recommendation. That is irrelevant, says Auri no Dana. If Iwa is giving such accolades, we need to be even more cautious. The old man would sooner hand over the hat to me than grace another Konoha scum with such accolades. We should take the Kyuubi even more seriously than Nahichibi. Leader-sama, I think we are overthinking the situation. Let's not forget that he is barely 12. He may have the power, but I can assure you that he doesn't have the experience. Everyone nodded in agreement with Ichi's words. Very well, Ichi, but let us wait on Zetsu's report. Then we can draw a better picture of the Kyuubi's abilities. Daimyo-sama. A man, attired in kiri-court robes, screamed as he ran into the daimyo's office. The daimyo was a rather large man attired in heavy blue robes with off-white trimmings and sitting on an expensive pillow behind the small desk, signing documents. What is it, Shota? Why have you come screaming into our office and with our son on your heels? The daimyo asked with contempt. Daimyo-sama, Uzumaki Naruto-sama comes to Kari to aid the Kekkei Genkai faction. Please reconsider your stance on the civil war. Shota begged as he fell on his knees and bowed in submission. So? If Uzumaki Dano decides to help a faction in the civil war, what does it matter to me? There is no law that states that a foreign daimyo can't interfere in a civil war, especially when daimyo of the country supports neither faction directly. You know as well as I and everyone in your court that the only reason you say you are neutral is your fear of being assassinated. I say that you grow a backbone and do what is right, Chichiya. The Crown Prince exclaimed with an angry expression on his face, startling the daimyo and Shota. Please calm down, Shiki-sama. It does no good to lose one's temper. Shota said with a frown. He has served the present daimyo for over 4 years now. He has seen the Crown Prince grow up into a fine man. A man who was so even-tempered that even the winter wind seemed warm in comparison. Shiki took a deep breath before nodding in gratitude towards Shota, then turned back to his father. I say that you now support the Bloodline faction and cut off funding to Yagura. Take the opportunity that Naruto-sama's presence brings and break out of the yoke that Yagura has cast on you. Shiki-sama is right, Daimyo-sama. If you support the Bloodline faction now, when they win, and I am sure it's when and not if, they will be more supportive of your resolutions. Besides, Kari won't be weakened due to Naruto-sama's intervention. I am sure that my son will offer a treaty with Uzashioge-cure and Konoha-cure. It would strengthen your power base even more. Please consider it. The daimyo hummed for a few moments before nodding. Very well, we shall agree with your suggestion. Let it be known that from this day forth, Yagura shall no longer get funding from our treasury. Send it to the Bloodline faction. That's a wise decision, Chichiya. I am sure that your decision will save us from retaliation from the Uzumaki. What do you mean, Shiki-kun? Simple, Chichiya. Grandfather did order the breaking of the treaty that got us the 7 swords from Yuzu. Your action should help us get into Naruto-sama's good graces. Shiki said as the daimyo paled in realization. Why did you suddenly stop, Naruto? Jiraiya asked, only for the blonde to whisper, I sense a snake. Jiraiya's eyes widened in realization right before Naruto stomped on the ground, causing a balloon of rock to form around them before suddenly it merged with the earth and vanished. Where did they go? Ao asked with surprise, only for Sakura to say, I think that we are close by one of Orochimaru's bases. Then, they went after the snake Sannin. Sasuke said with a wide-eyes expression when Naruto suddenly melted out of the ground with a sheepish expression. You guys head on. We will catch up after skinning the snake. Naruto said with a grin before phasing out of existence. Well, you heard the guy. We keep moving. Tenzo said, taking command. Everyone nodded before Mai asked, how are they going to find us? Don't worry about it, Mai-sama. Naruto makes sure to supply his team with reverse summoning seals. He will activate the alert seal, and one of us summons him to us. Sasuke said with a grunt. Mai nodded in acceptance before getting into place and moving on with the rest of the group. It seems that you don't have much time left, Kimimaro-kun. Hopefully, you will be well enough during the assault on Konoha. Orochimaru said with false sad expression. Kimimaro nodded with a sad smile as he got off the metal examination table. He turned to Orochimaru and bowing, said, Thank you for taking out some time from your busy schedule to check my health, Orochimaru-sama. Think nothing of it, Kimimaro-kun. It is always a pleasure to help my loyalty subordinates. You should go and rest before helping Jugo with his powers. Kimimaro bowed in subservience before heading out of the room. As soon as Kimimaro was gone, Orochimaru turned to a darkened corner of the room and said, You know, Jiraiya, it's considered rude to sneak into someone else's home. A chuckle resounded from the shadows as Jiraiya stepped out into the light. That may be true, but isn't it common of old comrades to do just that? Kukaku. That's true, but I doubt you're here to reminiscent about old times. If you did, you would have brought Tsunade and Sarutobi-sensei with you. Orochimaru said, tensing for a fight. You're right about that, but then again, the only reason we would have a full reunion is if it comes out that you are undercover and Sarutobi-sensei knows. That's why you don't have the Oinen after you. Who knows, but even if I was, I wouldn't be able to tell you. How about we dispatch with the pleasantries and just get on with it? Orochimaru said with a dark grin right before thrusting his hands forward, sending multiple snakes flying at the Gamma Sannin. Without even blinking, Jiraiya threw a small kunai with a paper tag attached to the handle at the snakes. Just as the kunai was flying past the snakes, the tag glowed before a wave of pitch-black chakra erupted in the shape of a ball and consumed the snakes. Orochimaru raised an eyebrow in interest and said, Interesting technique. If I didn't know any better, I would say that it was something an Uzumaki would use. How did you come by this seal, Jiraiya? I doubt you developed it. Who knows, maybe, I have had it all the time and you have never seen me use it. Jiraiya said with a cocky smile that infuriated the snake Sannin. Growling, Orochimaru jumped forward and engaged Jiraiya in a taijutsu bout. As the two Sannin clashed about the room, small shockwaves were running throughout the earthen walls of the base. Shockwaves that shouldn't appear as the walls were enhanced with chakra and stabilized with seals. I must say, Jiraiya, you have gotten better. Everyone knows that I am the strongest of the Sannin, but it seems that you are catching up to me. You? The strongest? We both know that in raw brute strength, Tsunade has trumped us, but I am the most balanced of us three. Kuden, Karindon. As the dragon-shaped bullet of flames rushed out of Jiraiya's mouth, Orochimaru slammed a fist into the ground, causing a wall of earth to rise in opposition of the flames. Unlike most walls, this one had an intricate snake motif engraved on it. While the two Sannin were fighting, their fluctuating chakra drew the attention of Kimimaro and Jugo, drawing the two to the room. With them were the rest of the shinobi present in the base. You know, Jiraiya, this was very unlike you. Sneaking into my base and confronting me. Sneaking in and gathering information I can see. But why would you put yourself in such a disadvantage? This is quite unlike you. Jiraiya laughed at Orochimaru's words as Kimimaro and Jugo entered the room with the rest of Orochimaru's shinobi. Orochimaru-sama! Everyone exclaimed, seeing a wave of flames wash over the snake Sannin's position before the man crumbled into a pile of mud. Jiraiya jumped back as a sword nearly took out his head. Orochimaru had substituted with the Doton, Kage Bunshin and flanked the Gamma Sannin. Forming hand seals, Jiraiya bit his finger and placed a hand on the ground, causing a plume of smoke to emerge. When the smoke cleared, 2 old toads were seen sitting on Jiraiya's shoulders. Without even a single complaint, the 2 fused with Jiraiya, causing the man to develop toad-like eyes, thicker nose with warts and yellow irises. Ah, the famed Sennin mode. Pity that I don't have the interest to truly study it. If I did, I could probably perfect my own Sennin transformation. I doubt it, Orochimaru. Men like you don't have the quality to become sages. You have neither the patience nor the disposition to master such a sacred art. A disembodied voice reverberated throughout the room, surprising everyone but Jiraiya. It seems that you aren't as alone as I first suspected, are you, Jiraiya? So, tell me, who did you bring? Orochimaru asked with curiosity, only for his face to pale even further as the wall behind Jiraiya parted. Out of the chasm, Naruto walked out with a regal presence. Quickly shaking his head, Orochimaru asked with a false excited expression, Naruto-kun. So nice of you come visit me. Can it, snake? You know as well as I do that I am here to bring you in, at best. Sennin, pa. Why don't you 3 just sit back and enjoy the thrashing of the Densetsu no Hebi? Jiraiya, Pa and Ma chuckled as Ma said, sure thing, Naruto-sama, let's see what the old geezer has taught you. Orochimaru frowned before grinning in a taunting way and said, it seems that the legendary toads of Mayabakazan has fallen quite far. There was a time when you wouldn't treat a daimyo with respect like that, especially a child. Really, child, have you forgotten that we give respect to those who deserve it and not demand it? Pa said, causing Kimimaro to growl and say, who are you to disrespect Orochimaru-sama? You are a fool to respect such a dishonorable snake. Don't you know, a snake uses you before discarding you like yesterday's trash? Kimimaro growled before making a small gesture, causing all the other shinobi accompanying him and Jugo to shout and charge at Naruto, who just sighed and punched forward, causing a wave of rocky spikes to emerge from the ground and stab through the legs of the shinobi. Orochimaru, Kimimaro and Jugo looked surprised as the shinobi fell to the ground, screaming their throats raw. The 3 watched as Naruto waved his arms, causing the earth and floor to flow around and consume the fallen shinobi, not even leaving behind a trace of the 30-some shinobi and kunoichi that had attacked on Kimimaro's orders. Interesting jutsu, Naruto-kun. I didn't realize that your Doton affinity is so high that you have similar control of earth that the Naruto Hokage had over water. Naruto chuckled tauntingly as he said, it seems that for all of your vaunted intelligence, you are just an idiot. Don't you understand the difference between a ninjutsu and ninshu technique? Orochimaru growled right before Kimimaro and Jugo charged at the blonde with the intent to kill. As Jugo charged forward, his arms morphed into axes while Kimimaro's body transformed slightly as he activated the second stage of the Ten no Juin. Jiraiya, Ma and Pa frowned as they sensed the corrupt natural energy flowing through the 2. Naruto just shook his head in exasperation before he was covered in a cloak of golden chakra. Vanishing from sight, he reappeared in front of Jugo and tapped his forehead with his index finger. At first nothing happened, but then Jugo slumped as his transformation faded. A seal formed on his forehead in the shape of a 9-tailed fox. The tails forming the Uzumaki clan swirl. Orochimaru seethed in realization of what happened while Kimimaro narrowed his eyes and jumped forward with a bone sword, only for Naruto to turn and place a hand on his forehead right before he blanked out for a moment. When his focus came back, Kimimaro found that his access to his chakra had vanished, and along with it, his access to the Ten no Juin. In his hand, the bone sword was crumbling out of existence. You are truly a coward, just like a pathetic weak snake. I am surprised that the Hokage Sennin still allows you to summon the snakes. You are only dragging their name through mud. Orochimaru growled as he bit his tongue to keep from responding. Instead, Orochimaru threw his hands forward, releasing multiple large snakes at Naruto while calling out, Sennai Tajashu. You are really desperate, aren't you? Naruto asked as the golden cloak vanished, but his irises took on a golden hue. With glance, the snakes burst into a mass of blood and gore, their blood having turned against them. With another glance, Orochimaru found himself unable to move. "What is this? What are you doing, Gaki? You are the genius. You tell me?" But then again, Konoha tends to give out the titles of genius and prodigy too easily. "I am controlling you blood with my mind. I doubt that you have the ability to resist it, let alone escape," Naruto said with a sad smile. For the first time in a great while, Orochimaru found himself feeling true fear. Something he hasn't felt since facing off against Hanzo with his former teammates. Closing his eyes, Orochimaru drew upon the natural energy around him, hoping beyond hope that he would succeed. To his joy, he was able to activate his Sennin transformation. With the raw natural energy flowing through him, Orochimaru was able to squirm his hands together before activating the summoning tattoo on his wrist. A large puff of smoke appeared as the top of the base grumbled away. Jiraiya, with Ma and Pa on his shoulders, jumped out of the new leaf or hole. Naruto followed with Jugo and Kimimaro floating behind him. "So, Orochimaru, you have the gall to summon me after failing my task?" a snake said, causing Jiraiya, Ma, Pa and Orochimaru to stiffen in fear. And why shouldn't they? Orochimaru had summoned the Hokage Sennin, the only being who was nearly as old as Gamimaru. Orochimaru was about to answer, but the snake cut him off. "I shall kill you for staining the name of the snake summons, but luckily for you, you have summoned me in front of my old census late test student. For this rare opportunity, I shall let you live, but your contract is forfeit." "Of course, Hokage-sama." Orochimaru simpered in relief while Kimimaro watched in shock at how the being he literally worships as a god was behaving. "Come forward, Naruto-dono. I must say, I have been excited to meet you. It's not every day I meet a fellow student. It is sad that the rest of our fellow students have already passed on." "Then that would mean you are little Shiro? Sensei spoke fondly of you. Especially the time you decided to challenge Hagoromo-senpai." "Yes, that wasn't my best decision. Anyway, how about a spar? I would like to see how far you have come. I can already see that you have mastered the art of breathing." Naruto nodded as he said, "I would be honored to spar with you, Kashiro-senpai, but may I capture the idiot behind you?" "Sure, go ahead. In fact, I will help you," Kashiro said, slamming his tail on the ground, causing it to launch Orochimaru into the air and land in between Naruto and himself. Sweating in fear, Orochimaru looked about only to see Jiraiya, Ma and Pa ready to intercept him. Not that he would try anything to begin with. Not with the Hokage Sennin and Naruto there. "Don't even think about it, Orochimaru. Don't fight the inevitable," Naruto said, his eyes returned back to blue. "Alright, I give up. I will come quietly," Orochimaru said, raising his hands up. Naruto nodded and approached the traitor when Orochimaru suddenly smirked and clapped his hands together. Damn it. The Tom had a remote-activated reverse summoning array ready. Naruto cursed as Kashiro narrowed his eyes in annoyance with the former snake summoner. It's a pity that Orochimaru has no honor. I still don't know why I told Manda to approach him. Are you sure we should hand the Gaki over? The Gaki's powers are highly valuable to us. We should have breeded some out of the bitch. An old man said, to the disgust of the Konoishi present in the room. The man sitting behind the large desk frowned. We have been over this already. We aren't some barbarians like the Sandaime Raikage and his council were. We will not force the clan restoration act on someone unwilling. You are all cowards. We are shinobi, we shouldn't have morals. We kill for a living and that too indiscriminately. What a bit of forced breeding to save a nearly extinct clan. It is lucky we didn't. Didn't you hear what happened to those idiots over at Taki? The eldest Konoishi said, getting a growl from the old man. Besides, I think it's a good idea. It would garner the favor of the young but powerful daimyo. Another man said with a grin. But. The old man started only for the leader to interrupt. That's enough out of you. The only reason I asked you to be here is for your experience. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been even informed. I have already decided to hand the girl over. I hope that our preemptive strike would make the girl's clan more agreeable to ally with us. Sachiko, I want you to be the one to lead the girl to Konoha and then try and get an appointment with the girl's clan head. I am sure that your extensive negotiation skills will tip the favor towards us. As you wish, Morihiko-sama. Sachiko said with a bow. Then dismissed. Sakura, Gay, Kakashi and Mai suddenly stopped when they felt the powerful chakra aura press upon them. Sakura easily shrugged of the presence while Mai, Kakashi and Gay had to try a little harder. What was that? Mai asked in shock. Not even Jaeger in full Bijū mode gave off such a terrifyingly overwhelming presence. What the hell is he fighting that requires 50% of his full power? Sakura commented, drawing incredulous stares from the three Kiri ninja. Mai turned to Aoun and asked with a shaky tone, "What do you see?" "No need to ask, I can easily tell you what's happening," a cheerful voice said, causing all the veteran shinobi to throw a kunai at the intruder. A wall of earth rose to intercept the kunai before lowering to reveal Naruto standing there with Jiraiya, Ma, and Pa. Behind them, Kimimaro and Jugo were floating in mid-air with restraining seals glowing on their exposed skin. An eyebrow twitched on Sakura's brow as she asked with a sweet tone, "Tell me, Naruto-kun, you don't happen to be thrashing Orochimaru alone, would you?" Sasuke quickly moved away from his irate teammate and hid behind Kakashi, who himself looked like he would prefer to be somewhere else. Jiraiya was the one who spoke. "Not really, the coward escaped using a remote-activated reverse summoning seal, but not before summoning the Hokage Sennin." Hokage-sama was a student of Gamamaru-sama just like Naruto-sama is. Being fellow students in the sage arts, they decided to have a spar. "I am surprised that we haven't seen anything truly spectacular yet," Pa said, only for a massive pillar of fire to form in the distance. "Why do you tempt fate, you old baka?" Ma shouted, slamming a rolling pin on Pa's head. "Is that a giant white snake?" Chojuro asked with awe, only to gasp as the snake breathed out a wave of scorching hot flames that were countered by an immensely thick wall of water that appeared out of nowhere. "Where did that water come from?" Ao asked in confusion, only for a massive earthen construct to form in front of the snake. The humanoid construct raised a fist and punched forward, only for the snake to wrap itself around the arm and squeeze. A soft green-blue glow surrounding the snake. The earthen construct's arm crumbled to dust before reforming as the snake slithered back. Rearing up, the white snake extended his hood as a bright poisonous green glow gathered in his throat. The earthen construct connected its wrists together. Between the cupped palms, a violet ball of churning chakra formed. "Wow! The boss isn't holding back. I am sure that we haven't mastered that Senjutsu technique yet," the Naruto present said, causing Team 7 to groan. "Oi Kakashi, how much are you willing to bet that the new technique will blow up in his face, again?" Sasuke said as Kakashi shook his head and replied, "No bets. This is Naruto we are talking about. He has a habit of mastering complex techniques on the fly." Ao and Chojuro looked startled at the revelation while Mai just chuckled. When everyone looked at her with questioning glances, she just said, "It is a gift of the Uzumaki. I heard about it from my grandfather. He was in Uzumaki." Everyone nodded before turning back to the fight. Both the snake and the construct released their techniques at the same time. A beam of poisonous green energy flowed out of the snake mouth as a similar beam of dark violet energy erupted from the construct's outstretched hands. The two beams colliding with each other caused massive earthquakes where the group was. The place where the two beams met, a massive ball of unstable black energy formed. From the black ball, shockwaves were emanating, threatening to blow away the entire area. The Kiri ninja feared that a particularly strong shockwave would easily rip them all to shreds. "What the hell is happening to the trees?" Tenten cried out in shock, drawing everyone's attention to the forest near the battle. Small motes of black energy were flying off the massive ball, and anything the motes touched were rotted within seconds before evaporating into pale motes of green energy. Everyone shivered in fear as the Naruto present with them said, "I wonder who will win? The mixed energy motes of destruction and poison are going to cause serious harm to the immediate area." "What do you mean, Naruto?" Sakura asked with concern. "The boss is applying his knowledge on Onmita to transform the nature chakra into pure destruction. It's not really destruction but a type of chakra that forcefully transforms matter and energy into unadulterated natural energy. Its purest form. The trees are dissipating into natural energy. That the pale green motes. Kashiro-senpai is using the same knowledge to transform the nature chakra into a corrosive energy. If the large black ball implodes, I really don't want to know what will happen." A gasp emanated from Tenten and Mai as the beams petered out right before the black ball expanded before imploding. Everyone waited for the inevitable explosion, but when it didn't come, they stared intently at the reduced ball and saw Naruto glowing yellow and the Hokage sending glowing green-blue, working together to unravel the unstable ball. They watched in awe as the ball separated into two distinct colored orbs which were then dissipated into pale green motes of energy. After the ball was taken care of, the snake bowed and seemed to touch Naruto for a moment before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. "I think the spar is finally over." "No kidding, genius," Sakura commented, causing Neji, who had spoken, to blush in embarrassment. "You know, I was expecting a more spectacular end," Sasuke drawled out as the clone just chuckled and dissipated into the air. As the clone vanished, everyone became aware of the dissipating barrier that surrounded them. "If there was a barrier protecting us, how did we feel the shockwaves? The earthquakes I can understand, but the airborne shockwaves?" Yujao asked, only for Naruto to appear, floating in the sky. "Simple, Nico. The barrier was designed to deaden the destructive properties of the shockwaves. It's a simple barrier that's used to trick futon users. Simple to construct, easy to maintain, even a genin would be able to keep it active for hours." "Wow. I haven't heard of such a barrier before. Where did you come by it, Naruto-sama?" Tenzo asked with interest. Naruto chuckled and said, "Easy, I created it. There was already a barrier seal that prevents any wind technique to pass through. I modified it with ninja knowledge to do this. It's an easy seal. If you want, I can teach it to you." "That would be useful, Naruto-sama." Naruto nodded before saying, "Form up. We need to get out of here as soon as possible. Sakura, keep an eye on the pale boy floating beside Zoro-sennin. He seems to have a weak constitution." Everyone nodded as they formed up in the formation Naruto specified when they left Konoha, with the two prisoners in between Jiraiya and Mai. Ma and Pa bowed to Naruto before returning back to the summons realm. After everyone was situated, Naruto gave the order. It had been nearly an hour since Naruto and the Hokage Sennin had their world-shaking spar. The group had been silent for the whole duration, running at low jonin speeds towards the rebel encampment. Suddenly, Naruto stopped and called a halt to the group's movement. Closing his eyes, a pale green aura erupted from the blonde Jinchuriki's body. After a couple of moments, the aura receded as Naruto opened his eyes. Turning, Naruto saw everyone looking at him with questioning looks. Everyone was startled when Naruto's usual laid-back expression turned severe. "The camp is about 50 miles from here, right?" Mai nodded with a confused look. Naruto sighed, "Then I am sure that when we reach there, we will only find smoldering remains. Yagura's forces are attacking. Luckily, I didn't sense Yagura there." The Kiri ninja looked disheartened at the revelation. There was no way they would make it there in time to be of help, at least with energy to fight after arriving. The Konoha ninja looked down in disappointment. The genin, for failing in such an important mission, and the jonin for remembering the carnage such a sight would reveal. "Lucky for you, I can get you there in a moment," Naruto said as he took out 3 kunai with 3 prongs, and threw them in a triangle formation. A translucent barrier formed around the group. "I didn't know that the higher shin could be used like this," Jiraiya asked with Tenzo looking curious as well. Naruto chuckled, "This isn't the higher shin. It's something used and developed by my clan. Now, before we leave, I have some orders. Sakura, there are many injured shinobi. I want you to focus in healing them. Lee, Sasuke, and Chojuro, you 3 make sure that she isn't blindsided. Sakura used the healing barriers." The 4 nodded and moved a bit to the back edge of the barrier. Naruto turned to the root team and said, "You 4 will try and infiltrate Yagura's forces. Objective, sabotage and intel." The root team nodded, but before the leader could order the group to move to the edge, Naruto threw a sealing tag to him. "Touch the seal to your forehead and channel chakra. It will transmit your mind to a receiver seal where you can give your report. Report to me thrice a day, dawn, noon and dusk. First report an hour after Yagura's forces retreat." Ao, Kakashi, Gai, Tenzo, Yujao, Sai, Ten, and Neji, extraction detail. Bring the injured to the area Sakura and her team will establish. After the injured are extracted, make sure that the healing area isn't overrun. The group nodded and moved to the side, leaving behind Jiraiya and Mai. "Mai, I need you to rally your troops. Sennin, you go with her. Make sure that she isn't assassinated. Everyone looked startled at the order, but Jiraiya just nodded, a determined glint glowing in his eyes. Naruto nodded in satisfaction and was about to activate the teleportation function when Jiraiya asked, "Then you plan to take Yagura's forces on yourself, right? Just like Minato." He didn't know the meaning of outnumbered as well. Everyone chuckled while some of the shinobi had apprehensive expressions on their faces. Before they could realize what happened, they found themselves in a different place, each team away from the others. Sakura was disoriented for a moment before regaining her composure. Activating the seal on her forehead, Sakura quickly made some hand seals and slammed her hands on the ground. A massive sealing formula formed underneath her before a translucent silver barrier formed. The barrier covered an area large enough for several hundred people to easily gather underneath it. Nodding in satisfaction, Sakura turned to the three boys and said, "I need to concentrate. Don't let anyone distract me. One mistake can cause the death of my patients. Chojuro-san, have your people come here for healing." Chojuro nodded before calling out, "Everyone, listen to me. These are some of the reinforcements Mai-sama went to Konoha to acquire. Sakura-san is one of the best Ronin Konoha has to offer, so Ronin, cooperate with her." Everyone under the barrier nodded as the heavily injured shinobi were moved closer to Sakura. Everyone was shocked when Sakura shook her head and commanded strings of water to form out of the air and connect her with the injured. The strings started glowing blue as a similar blue glow encompassed the patients. The Kiri-Ronin watched in shock as the injuries started healing at an accelerated rate. Seeing the Kiri-Ronin standing around gaping, Sakura growled out, "Why the hell are you all gaping like fools? The barrier enhances Urojutsu used underneath it. Use it to your advantage. Heal the ones I am not working on. There is a limit to how many I can heal at a given instance. Try and send the critically injured shinobi to me." Blushing in embarrassment, the Ronin started rushing about doing as ordered. As they rushed about, Chojuro, Sasuke and Lee gathered the combat-fit shinobi and organized them into a defensive formation at the edge of the barrier. "Damn Gaki. Did he have to teleportation us without warning?" Jiraiya grumbled as he regained his composure. Beside him, Mai took a bit longer before straightening up. Looking around, Mai saw that they were alone. "Where are the others?" "I think Naruto teleported each team to a place where they would be most helpful. We should get going. Which direction is the command center?" Mai just nodded and rushed off due north of their position. After a couple of minutes, the 2S-ranked shinobi reached a large tent where multiple shinobi and kunoichi were rushing about with a couple of experienced-looking jonin giving orders. "What's the situation?" Mai asked, causing everyone to jump before relaxing at her presence. "Mai-sama. The situation is dim. They attacked right at the time we change guards. We have a traitor amongst us. Half the forces are critically injured, of which 10% are expected to perish within the hour. The rest of us are fighting back as well as we can, but we need to retreat. Unfortunately, a second battalion is covering all the retreat points. What do we do, Mai-sama?" "Calm down, Takeshi. Reinforcements are already here. We have Jiraiya of the Sannin right here. Jiraiya-sama, please help us," a kunoichi begged. "My job is to make sure that my san survives. Naruto is already taking care of the enemy forces," Jiraiya said with a grin. As everyone but Mai gaped at Jiraiya's confidence, a kunoichi wearing the mark of the medical corps rushed in. "Takeshi Taicho, Mai-sama is back with reinforcements from Konoha. We can see that. Aoi Isaki. Why did you leave your post at the medical station? What can we do? Haruno Sakura is single-handedly healing hundreds at the same time using some kind of Suiton ninjutsu. We haven't seen anything like this before. Tsunade could do something similar with Godsu's help. Is Sakura using any summon?" Jiraiya asked, causing the woman to stare at him in shock. The woman gaped for a few moments before stuttering out, "Not any we could see, but she did summon a barrier." "Ah, I see. An Uzumaki healing barrier combined with healing ninshu using water. A true prodigy in the arts of healing. Tsunade would kill to have her as an apprentice. Takeshi, send out this order. Have all able-bodied shinobi and kunoichi of A rank are to mobilize and help Naruto-sama with the offensive." "I don't think that will be necessary," Jiraiya said with a chuckle as everyone stared at him with incredulity. Mai was about to comment when a young shinobi rushed into the tent screaming, Yagura's forces have been defeated in the southern corridor. A blonde kid wearing a Hittite with the kanji for Bijū and Senin carved on it has taken them down with his very presence. Don't know what he did, but all of the enemy forces are unconscious and restrained by the very earth itself. Takeshi Taicho. All of Yagura's forces on the northern and northeastern front have been neutralized. Uzumaki Naruto-sama appeared and took them out using the very sky itself. All enemies are restrained by stone shackles grown from the earth. How is he in multiple places at once? Takeshi asked only for Mai to say, clones. That's right. He is a master of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Jiraiya said with pride. Then we won't need to send him aid, do we? I am afraid not. Likely, we would only be in his way. Jiraiya said with a frown. All done. The enemy has been neutralized. I took care not to kill anyone but those who were giving off malicious intent towards you. I decided to send Yagura's commander back to Yagura with a challenge. Hopefully, the war will end by the next week. All the Kiri ninja bowed in gratitude and greeting when Naruto said, no need to bow. I hate injustice, so if I didn't help, I would have become what I hate. Mai-sama, a messenger from the daimyo. A shinobi said leading in a youthful-looking man. Shiki-sama. You honor us with your presence. Mai said with a bow. Shiki nodded in greeting before turning to Naruto and bowed, welcome to Mizuno-kuni, Naruto-sama. I just wish that it was during better circumstances. No need to bow, Shiki-san, I am not much into formalities outside formal events. Beside, as I said to Mai, I would become the very thing I hate. Someone with power who encourages injustice. People in our position should help the unfortunate. Shiki blushed at the not-so-subtle jab at his father's indiscretions during the Civil War. I agree with you there, Naruto-sama. Now if you will excuse me, Mai-san, here is the official decree of my honorable father, the daimyo. It says that as of now, all government funding towards shinobi affairs are being directed to you and those under your command. Yagura has been cut off. It took my father some time to realize it, but Yagura has only weakened Kiri and Mizu as a whole. Please accept my sincerest apologies on behalf of my honorable father. Mai looked startled as she received the official decree with a bow. Coughing to regain her composure, Mai said, I humbly accept your apology on behalf of your honorable father, Shiki-sama. Shiki-san, tell your father that I will come visit after taking care of Yagura. Now I would advise against taking harsh steps against any captured shinobi from Yagura's faction. I can sense many only following Yagura out of loyalty to Kiri and Mizu. Since your father took this long to refuse aid to Yagura, they believed they were in the right, only following their daimyo. I am sure that all of them will support Mai and her forces when the decree becomes known. I see, Naruto-sama, Shiki said with a chagrined expression. I will make sure that my father doesn't treat them too harshly. Mai-sama. It's a miracle. Haruno Sakura has healed even those on their deathbeds. Akira Ronin exclaimed with excitement as he rushed into the tent. You know, dropping your guard like that right after victory is declared can cause your death. Sakura said as she walked into the tent with Sasuke, Lee, and Chojuro. The barriers still need a bit of work, Naruto. It falters a bit every time someone passes its boundaries. I will see to it later then. Naruto said before puffing out of existence. Where did Naruto-sama go? Shiki asked with confusion. Sakura and Sasuke chuckled as Sasuke said, the question isn't where he went, not it's where he is. He wasn't really here. It was only a clone. Kakashi and his team are nearly done. Now to catch myself a traitor. Naruto said, confusing everyone. But how will you know who the traitor is, let alone there is a traitor? We only know because of the timing of the attack and how Yagura's forces covered every retreat point that there is a traitor amongst us. Simple. I can sense the malicious intent directed towards Mai. Naruto said, causing everyone's eyes to widen in realization. Seeing that his only chance was about to be gone, Takeshi jumped forward with a kunai in his hand, intent on killing Mai. As everyone shouted out in shock at the sudden action, Takeshi found himself dangling in midair, his breathing becoming hardened with every breath. If you had given up, I am sure you would have lived. Now. Naruto left the man's fate hanging as he clenched his fist. Everyone watched with fascination as the traitor's eyes bulged before blood started leaking out from the tear ducts. At the same time, the nose and ears also bled while the throat was crushed into oblivion. A strangled choking sound filled the tent as blood pooled in the man's lungs. As the man finished twitching, Naruto let his fist relax, causing the corpse to fall on the ground. "That's not a nice way to die," a young girl said, drawing the attention of everyone to the entrance of the door to see Tenten standing there with the rest of the extraction group. Neji was pale as he realized that it could have been him that one time. Sakura had approached the corpse and quickly checked for a pulse. Finding none, she used her credentials as Ernan to declare the man dead. "Oi! Another jar of sake. Bring your best one," a blonde-haired woman shouted out with slightly jerky movements. "I think you have had enough sake, Tsunade-sama," a black-haired woman carrying a pig said with disapproving frown. "Oh, don't be like that, Shizune. Just one more jar. After that we head off towards the capital." "The new daimyo of Yuzu really is a great guy. I still can't believe he was able to single-handedly defeat a whole battalion of Iowa shinobi." "Yeah. Then don't forget, he freed Nami without any help from his team. I still can't believe that the daimyo is barely 13. Tsunade growled in anger as she stood up and approached the trio of merchants. "Where the hell did you hear such absurd stories? There are no more Uzumaki left. I should know, my grandmother was a Uzumaki." "Who the hell are you, lady? And where were you living, under a rock?" "Guys, I think she's Tsunade of the Sannin." "What? Then how can she not know about Naruto-sama? He's the face of Konoha. The son of the Yondaime Hokage." "What did you say, Gaki? Minato and Kushina's son died on that accursed night with his parents." Tsunade screamed, ramming her fist through the table. Shizune was trying to pull Tsunade away when a small puff of smoke appeared on Tsunade's shoulder. When the smoke cleared, a small white slug was seen. "That's enough, Tsunade. Do you wish for me to revoke our agreement as the Hokage Sennin has done to Orochimaru?" "Huh? What do you mean, Katsu?" Tsunade asked, placing a glowing palm on her forehead. After a few moments, she removed the hand, completely sober. "Orochimaru accidentally summoned the Hokage Sennin to fight against Naruto-sama. Both of them were or at present are the students of Gamamaru-sama. Hokage-sama took the chance to revoke the summoning contract." "I see, but when did Gamamaru-sama start taking students again? I was sure Jiraiya and the two-toed sages complained about him being senile." "That's what everyone thought until he came out of his trance-like state. For nearly 600 years, he has been completely immersed in nature and its energy. The sage arts we know of are barely the surface of a deep ocean," Katsuya said gravely as Tsunade and Shizune looked startled at the information. "I see, and who's Naruto? And why are you giving him such respect?" "Because he deserves it. How many people can say they developed sage mode without help? How many have mastered the power of their Bijū, particularly the Kyuubi? That too before his 13th year. Alright, I see why you respect him so much. And since you said he has mastered the Kyuubi's chakra, can I assume that Sensei lied to me about Kushina's son's survival?" "Yes, he did. I don't know the reason for Sarutobi's decision, you have to ask him yourself, but I will tell you one thing. All of such summons believe that Uzumaki Naruto-sama is the Yojin no kids. Shizune. We are going to Konoha. Pack everything up and meet me at the southern road. I will take care of the payment here." "Hi, Tsunade-sama," Shizune exclaimed and rushed out of the shop just as a Konoha Anbu wearing a boar mask appeared. "Senjutsu Tsunade. A joint missive from the Yuzu and Fire Daimyo," the woman said, handing over a sealed scroll with the personal seals of the aforementioned daimyo. "Do you know who the present Yuzu daimyo is?" Tsunade asked as she took the scroll. Boar chuckled and said, "Who doesn't? Yondaime-sama's son is someone truly amazing. I am sure this will clear up some things." Tsunade raised an eyebrow as she took the bingo book from Boar and looked down at the marked page. "How the hell did the kid get a flea on sight order from 3 countries? I am not really surprised. He can easily take down Konoha's best alone without even tapping into the Kyuubi's chakra. From what Sarutobi Azuma said, Naruto-sama took down both Han and Roshi in Bijū mode without even trying, all the while suppressing a contingent of Iwa's best. If that doesn't merit a flea on sight order, I don't know what does. Especially since he is strong enough to do that with causing lasting injuries to his opponents. I doubt even his father would be able to defeat him." Tsunade nodded as she broke the seals and quickly read through the missive. Chuckling, Tsunade said, It seems to be your lucky day, Bor. You don't need to futilely attempt to convince me to return back to Konoha. That is a relief. I was afraid I would have to order my team to try and subdue you. You should know that you still have some blood relations left. Naruto-sama brought back many living Uzumaki. The eldest of whom seems to be an old friend of your honorable grandmother. Tsunade nodded with suppressed tears as she said, "Get your team ready. We leave in an hour. I am looking forward to meet the brat." I am sorry to say that Naruto-sama is in Kiri at the moment, helping to carry rebels. You will have to wait until he returns. Bor said with apprehension. She could feel the killing intent Tsunade was releasing at that small tidbits of information. She just hoped her team survives. So that's it for today, guys. If you like this story and want more, then please subscribe and turn on the bell icon. Until then, take care and goodbye.